Nerd On the Podcast is proudly partnered with Apogee Electronics and Odyssey Headphones, leaders in the field of audio.
Attention, please be advised. The following episode contains spoilers. Don't say we didn't warn you.
Anyone that came was like, I'm here to replace dads.
Yeah.
That's my MO.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Nerd On the Podcast you didn't need but deserve, where all levels of nerd are welcome.
Yeah,
In
no matter
today's topic,
what class you are, whether you're a wizard, a rogue,
A mermaid.
or whatever you want,
anything.
or a pixie.
Today's topic is going to take us down a journey to find the Phoenix Stone, to reconnect with some family,
Mhm.
and maybe have a choice encounter or two towards the end. And today's marquee title, Onward.
Ooh.
Onward.
And so we will go onward into this episode.
Infinity and beyondward.
Yeah.
For Onward.
Wow.
Before we get into this latest installment of by Pixar Studios, we are going to be introducing ourselves, including myself. Why am I talking like this?
I don't know, but my name is Tom.
Ollie.
I'm Caitlin.
I'm Corey.
And the fellow speaking now is Josh. And this episode is brought to you in part by the members of the Nerd On Nation that is powered by Patreon. As a member of the Nerd On Nation, you do get fun stuff, fun perks like a Discord server where you can talk with fellow fans, you can talk with us hosts, you can talk with everybody there. It's a lot of fun, from gardening to video games.
Spells to cast, swords that you like to battle with.
Yeah, it's so much good stuff. There is discounts. There are bonus episodes. There's a lot of stuff, but check it out. nerdon.io/Patreon. And being a member of the Nerd On Nation, it does allow us to grow. It allows us to upgrade and be the best that we can be. This episode is also brought to you in part by our partnership with Apogee and Odyssey.
Correct.
Odyssey headphones, they're so yummy. They sound so good in our ears. I do suggest that everybody check them out. They
Sounds
are
like
wonderful.
a movie theater inside of each ear.
Wow.
Inside
Okay.
of what?
Each ear.
Oh, each year. I heard each year, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Ooh, please
Inside of
explain
each
this."
ear.
Wow.
Vinny each ear.
I heard each
Didn't you read
year.
that spec on the box?
each
Yeah.
ear.
Theater on each year.
Each
Yeah.
each
And
year.
also, if you have baby, tendencies with your ears and head, and you
Yes.
complain about all the headphones you wear, you might like this.
yeah, like
I didn't say
say
anything.
for example, Ollie.
I don't know who that would be. Love you, Ollie.
Wow. Why throw them under the
Dare
bus?
you.
What's wrong?
Also, Apogee, they are amazing. We are recently partnered with them. We use their interface, the Element 88. It is wonderful, wonderful sound. And we recently, this last weekend, March 7th, we had our first live show at Apogee Studio in Santa Monica. And it was
Yes,
a
we
wonderful, those peeps over there, they were so supportive and incredible through the entire experience. The
studio is awesome. The energy was there. You could try out the Hype Mic, which is the ultimate podcasting microphone.
Check out the live version of the video. It is on YouTube.
Yes.
But yeah, that's it. That is the housekeeping. Onward.
Wow.
So, that would bring us to our first. I don't know why I always want to
Wow.
start with Trisha Takanawa.
I was about to say.
Is that what that
Oh,
is?
you almost sounded like what's his name? Robert Leach from like the Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, yeah, those
or
are about the
what's
same.
that, Miss Swan? I know something about
Yeah.
everything. But anyway, so brings us to our first segment. If you're brand new to Nerd On, welcome. And
Hi.
so this is a film, one whole film, and since it is technically a completed piece of work, that brings us to
Guess That Grump.
Onward, 'cause that's not a marketing thing. It's weird because they don't have G's in that universe.
Half your dad, half your dad.
Dad's dead.
Half your dad.
Half.
Yeah.
Just half.
Spoilers. And so, like I was saying, if you're brand new, at the end of this show, we're going to rate it from 1 out of 5. I always say 1 out of 5 when I mean to say 0 out of 5 because of
Really?
Ollie. And no matter how high the number is, the lowest number in the group becomes the grump for the week. And we encourage everyone to play along. And Corey has something to say if you were part of our Nerd On Nation.
Yes. If you're part of the Nerd Nation, you get to take part in a poll to guess that grump. If you get it right, you get a shout on the show, all that kind of stuff. Shadow show.
Shadow show.
If I can speak
Shadow
correctly.
realm.
So we'll get into that, the last bit of guessing here. But who wants to start us off? Ollie?
Me.
Oh, Tom. Tom. who's the
Wow,
guest?
okay.
Yeah. I'm going to guess that the person with the lowest rating out of 0 out of 5 will be
Maybe not Caitlin, but has to probably maybe be Josh.
Wow.
That
You
took
were
a
so
minute.
eager to go first.
Well, you went, and then you explain.
So eager to go first and yet
Who did
nothing.
he even
Well, okay,
say? I've
Josh.
already
I mean,
blacked
Josh.
out.
I
All
mean,
right.
Josh has actually he's grown stronger in his like abilities to critique and find qualms with things, even if he purely loves it. So I was like, you know what?
So Josh, who you got then? Who's your money on?
I think because he hates Disney, I'm gonna choose Tom. Okay. This one's actually really hard because I've heard conversations in passing.
You heard me
from
talking about it.
I've heard everybody say a little something,
Yeah.
something. So I'm like,
Who didn't like it
Hmm.
or who
Ollie?
liked it?
Well, we don't typically spend a whole day together after
that's
Yeah.
true.
watching it.
And
too,
the
so-
thing
very
is, it's
true.
not who hates it; it's who liked it the least.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who you got?
For me, I'm gonna go with. This is tough. This is a
Yeah.
really tough one. I'm gonna go with Caitlin.
Ooh.
Kate,
Ollie and I actually had a small conversation a little bit about it, so that's why he's like, it's tough. I know exactly why.
Oh, okay. Caitlin, who you got?
I'm gonna spite pick Ollie.
Mine
and then she
wasn't.
shakes her fist.
activated her trap.
So I'm gonna go.
Mine wasn't an attack.
Mine is.
Mine is Tom, and the Nerd on Nation unanimously chose Tom as well.
Okay.
So
There you
Okay.
go.
there's that vote there.
Huh.
So we have
Sometimes you never felt so seen, but also you never felt so attacked at the same time.
no votes for me. So
And how do you feel about that,
I
Tom?
wonder hey, you know what? Some of the most terrible, worst people in the world are always remembered.
so anyway, that means I will be going first with my rating at the end of the show, and then Josh, Ollie, and Caitlin can duke it out for whoever's second, third, and fourth, and then Tom will be our bitter last.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's it. Stick around to the end of the show to see if you get a shout out or not. I guess if they don't get it right, nobody gets a shout out because they all voted for Tom.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, so for that, I could just spite everybody.
Yeah, you can spite everybody.
Wow.
5 for me.
So
that's
that
that.
leads us
Two.
to the spoilers of that completely with the initial reactions
Halfway.
or first impressions.
If you're
I will go first.
Yes.
Ooh.
So,
Fuck.
Immediately, I'm like, damn it, I picked wrong.
So, leading up to this movie, I will be perfectly honest. I wasn't excited,
Aw, damn.
and I wasn't
Not excited.
not excited. I was just kind of middle of the road.
Neutral,
Honestly,
some might say.
I would say neutral, maybe. And because there was a part of me that was like, man, I feel like I just saw a Pixar movie, and it was like, oh, okay, there's another Pixar
It's
movie.
Disney
Yeah.
animated.
No
No songs.
Yeah. I walked out going, that was fantastic.
Fuck me.
I had
Fuck me.
I had a wonderful time through the entire thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It was such a fun experience. It hit a lot of really wonderful things for me that it made me cry a few times. It was such a great film for me. It was a great experience. Both Bonnie and I walked out going, wow, I didn't expect that.
Film
was-
Paddington 2 all over again.
This film was made for
oh,
you.
man.
No, absolutely not.
Nothing close to Paddington 2.
Retroactively gets real mad for 1
Yeah.
second.
That's
For me, it was the same thing. Like from the trailers, I really liked the look of like the idea of the like mushroom houses and kind of stuff like that, the aesthetics of it all. But I wasn't sure how I felt about the story or
The
whatever.
execution.
Yeah.
Really.
But it kind of had elements of everything that I love about things. So first of all, I fucking love wizards. So to start off with the lead character becoming a real wizard was pretty exciting. It's got board games, which I also absolutely love.
Yeah.
As like the centerpiece of it all. You have dad issues, which I'm a sucker for. So it kind of hit all the marks for me. And there's a character named Corey in it who spells it Corey, which is really important to me. My wife and I went to see this. And I know she's one of those people who, if she's not like a 4 or 6 on the emotional scale, she's crying, right? So if she's
Oh.
3 or below, or she's sad or happy, either way, she'll cry. And I think she cried through like most of this film.
Yeah, that's
So I walked out very, very surprised and delighted.
Wow.
Nice.
That's why I didn't pick you.
Tom.
For myself, the Nerd On Nation shout out. They do have a little bit of a finger on the pulse. I was actually super unenthusiastic to watch this film to go in. Because I don't know, it's just a weird thing in time, like Sonic and like other like child film or family centralized films. A really big hit and miss for me because I feel like you either lean too hard on the children's stuff or you lean too hard on like all the adult jokes. And then with Pixar specifically, the thing I've always admired and loved about Pixar is that they do have story at a really great place. But the one thing I think I really wanted when I was watching this, I was thinking about it. I was like, when did Pixar start doing like life-size things? And I was like, a lot of Pixar was kind of like founded upon like the minutia stuff. And then other than like Incredibles and then Monsters Inc. with Brad Bird and all that stuff. And, that kind of thing, I was kind of like, man, I kind of want, like, because I think about Inside Out and I think about Bug's Life and I think about those like few small ones, Wall-E, small little things. And this is like now humanoid. So I was like a little bit like, this is a new genre, a new era of Pixar. So like going into the film, watching it
Do you mean
coming
the
out,
scope of the story or the actual
the scope of the
characters?
world.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like,
Because like Up was pretty big.
yeah, Up was like again a bigger one, but I was kind of like, man, I remember when they were like focusing on small things
Like bugs and toys and things
fish
like that.
and
Yeah.
stuff like that. I was like, well, I wonder what the life would be like to be that thing,
Yeah.
right?
Where like Onward in the premise is very much like imagine a world where if, and I'm like, okay.
Leaving the theater, there's so many wonderful, great themes that the film touches upon that I think, and I said this to Ali, I was like, I think this film has more heart than a lot of the Disney animated and Pixar films have come out. Like, and that's a really hard, harsh, like thing to say because you could say all of them have like a really big heart and stuff. Some of them I feel like were more about society, and some of them were more about the personal struggle. And some of them make claims about what we do with our emotions. But this film, I felt like, was just talking about one character's struggle, and I really, really liked that. I did feel that when walking out, that like, I don't know. I feel like the attention that was put on Toy Story 4 is like 1,000 times higher than those put onto Onward in terms of just art style. I think the art style was great, and I think animation's cool. But like, there's something I was like, why did they make almost photorealism for some other things versus this? Like, I know they have the capacity to do that, so I was like very interested to see like, I wonder what happened. But like seeing the work that the director and writer worked on, I was highly impressed. So. I walked out pretty not here nor there.
Oh.
Wow. Okay.
In a good way.
Oh.
in a good way.
I know. He's like talking it up.
My brain computer's
Middle
trying
of
to
the
go,
road.
Yeah.
what could that mean?
So like a coin that lands just on the
On the
ridges.
You
line.
flip it and it goes,
It's the totem that
Uh-huh.
keeps spinning.
Yeah.
okay.
The dream goes onward.
Yeah. So when so going into Onward, I was kind of looking forward to it just because I dug the premise. But I was kind of lukewarm, and I was wondering like why I was lukewarm, and their marketing. I mean, we'll talk about this more. I guess we can talk about this more in Qualms since we I think we saw kind of the same. We got the same kind of feel. Yeah. But man, like I'll put it this way: like I told you, I got a Coke Zero, like for myself.
Oh yeah, you told me that.
I told you.
Yeah.
Oh, you
And-
told Corey for everyone that's listening.
Yeah.
I didn't pick it up at all once. I was so engrossed in this movie. Like this had everything that I wanted this movie to have. It didn't. I read a lot of weird reviews that they had issues with pacing. I didn't feel any of that. Maybe it's just because I was eating everything up.
I know what they're trying to say with that.
Great. Like, I mean, like
We'll talk about it,
yeah, we'll talk about it.
Shut up, Tom. All right.
Yes, sir.
Because I am super curious because I could not piece it together, like from what I was reading. But yeah, everything, like the characters were great. Like Chris Pratt and Tom Holland knock it out of the park as far as I was like their dynamic was so good. I loved Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt's performance.
Why is Gamora?
He was not in this one. But yeah, it was just fun from beginning to end. The magic stuff was cool. The Tales of Your stuff I dug.
I will say I did see Ollie at the theater after I got out of my screening of it, and I said, "Yo, Ollie!"
Yeah.
And then I said, "This is gonna be you and Corey's favorite Pixar movie for a
Yeah,
while."
I definitely There were tears, many, many tears.
There was
And-
salty water that poured from
Yeah.
my eyes.
And I put
I
it on
don't
my
know what
popcorn.
happened.
I didn't have to salt it.
Yeah, so like it was totally catering. I was like the perfect audience for this movie. I feel because I'm also a older brother to a younger
Oh.
brother, so there was stuff there, and I was like, it
I'm
kind of
older. I'm not too young. I mean, I have a younger
multiple-
brother who's 20 years younger than me, but I have
Oh,
a
yeah.
younger sister who I tried to include
this
in
was
everything I did.
this kind of felt very close to the gap. I mean, I think I couldn't tell how old the brother was. Did any of you get that?
At least
sense?
I was gonna
walking
say like
age, so
4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years older.
at least.
Okay,
I mean, he's out of high school. And then the boy turned 16.
because she says gap year at some point, but I don't know if that was high school gap or college gap.
College gap.
College gap.
Yeah, so
okay.
they call it like if you don't go to college right away, you call it
Yeah.
a gap year.
Okay, so it's probably about 3-4 years then. That's about the
Caitlin?
same as my brother.
Oh,
Oh.
nice.
We're 3 years apart.
Oh.
So,
I
yeah.
can see how that would hit.
Good
You're
movie.
not a
pretty
screw up.
hard.
I-
Oh.
Thanks.
What?
Uh,
Oh, yeah. I get it.
so I didn't really know what to expect going in, other than like
It's a theme. I sense a theme.
my premise was that like I'm gonna go in, they're gonna be like, oh, we get to see dad, half of dad for the day, and then I thought it was gonna be like the last 2 seconds, they were gonna like all gonna have that happy moment hug, and he's gonna poof, and so I was like, all right, here it comes, and then they like curveballed me.
Oh.
I wasn't
As
expecting
Pixar does.
as they do, but I guess I just wasn't expecting to get as emotionally invested as I did in what was happening. So it surprised me. I loved the D&D stuff. I loved the Tales of Yore
Have you
stuff.
never had a brother?
I haven't actually. I have an older sister,
fact.
but I've not had a brother
Me-
before.
Same here.
But yeah, it I don't know. There are elements of it that I couldn't fully grasp. And some things felt a little like, we know this is popular right now, so we're gonna do it. But I really enjoyed it. Like a lot.
So she didn't like the movie, everyone. So
You didn't let her get to that part yet.
well, she didn't say.
Well, you don't give me a chance to finish my thoughts.
What's your
sir.
next thought?
Kaylin, what do you think about the movie?
I like the movie.
There it is.
There it is. Now we got it.
Got you. I got you.
Thank you, Corey.
I will also say that the short beforehand, the
Oh,
Simpsons
Simpsons.
short, I thought was really well done.
I think
Yeah.
to me, so we talk about that a little bit. I liked it a lot. I just felt it was very kind of not Simpson-y.
Sure.
Like it felt a little bit more Seth MacFarlane. Like this is the
Okay.
side story of Stewie meeting a girl
Yes,
Mm.
that's
versus
actually
Okay.
what
not
I was thinking.
like Maggie. Like I would see like a baby's day out with Maggie.
yeah.
And like she like avoids criminals instead of
Yeah.
falling in love. I mean, it was a sweet story. I love it. It was great.
One of my favorite moments in it, though, is when Maggie takes the wheel and Homer Simpson freaks out. But then the next shot, he's got his hands
arm- yeah.
behind his head and he's like relaxing while
Cruising.
Maggie drives.
And I mean, that's interesting.
And the train.
Yeah.
I just loved the
Oh,
idea that
that
the train,
was-
the reveal was
Yeah.
spot on.
Well, yeah. I mean, to me, I felt like in Simpsons fashion, it has adopted the faster animation style and storytelling, where it's like things are fucking just happening. So yeah, I mean, it was fun, enjoyable.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that a lot.
Super cute.
Welcome to the mini episode.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's all part of it. We talked about Bao before.
Yeah.
For what was that
This
in
is
front
true.
of?
Incredibles.
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
So just
But
bringing that
it
back
was
in.
cool that this was like it was a welcoming of
Yeah.
Simpsons
Yeah,
into
and-
Disney.
To the point of your curveball, I would say, excluding a few recent Pixar films, at least like the classic ones or the ones that have stood out to me, I would say 90% of the time, that curveball is like they'll always give you what you need, not necessarily what you want.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then,
So we're
then
talking
that
about
thing
character.
becomes the one you're like, okay, I did want. I
'Cause
didn't
it-
know I wanted this, but this is
now
what
I
I
do.
want.
Turns out it
Yeah,
makes
now
a
I'm
much
glad.
better
Right.
story.
Yeah, I would say
It's-
recently there's a few that haven't hit that for me, but
Yeah.
like Finding Nemo and Toy Story and all those kind of things. That's here's what you need, not what you really wanted. And I'm like, oh,
Well, but
I did need
the
this.
want is what carries the plot.
yeah,
And
right,
then
Here's
and
the heart rope I'm going to pull.
Yeah.
right, yeah.
I mean, and that's talking about like antithesis versus the thesis of the film.
Mhm.
Oh my God. Also, the fucking stakes on some of those situations.
Oh yeah,
I like held
The
my
peril.
breath for so long on some of those. Like
They definitely brought
crossing
the peril.
Whoo. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute.
yeah.
So that brings us into our next two segments where we do a brief synopsis and our production.
So, with the brief synopsis, we start out with our lead character, which is escaping my name, Ian.
Ian.
Ian, who
Lightfoot.
Ian Lightfoot, who is an
It's his 16th birthday.
he's an elf.
Elf.
He's an elf. But it's his 16th birthday. But we get a little bit of the Lord of the Ringsy, like what happened. So back in the day, which was a Wednesday, like 10,000 years ago, they were wizards, orcs, pixies, all the medieval things,
And it's
dragons.
his dad narrating it,
Um,
by the way.
yeah,
Oh.
his father narrates that there was magic, and magic was really difficult to do. And so we see the creation of technology and how it steered people away from magic.
Mhm.
And so we live
And
in
their
a
true natures.
we live in a present day world of that magic had existed. Elves of the past, as well as dragons and all stuff, were all like what you would account to as the sharks and the cats, and they all like got domesticated. So we
Yeah.
have pet dragons, and elves no longer connect with magic, much like people no longer connect
Basically,
with
it's like,
nature.
what if Alexander Graham Bell was born in like World of Warcraft? Like,
Yeah.
what would
Yeah.
happen to society then?
Except it was Alexandra Graham Bell.
Right.
course. And so we have Ian, who's on his 16th birthday. He's going to school. He finally wears the shirt that his sweater that his father wore, and we understand that he wishes to be connected with his father that he never met when he was a child, because his father died of an illness in the hospital, like
Mhm.
average
Before he was born.
average world present day stuff, nothing magical about it. He has an older brother who is named
Barley.
Barley. Barley, who is the, I'm going to say this, I feel bad at typecasting it. He's the Jack Black older brother. He's
Yeah.
punk rock. He drives a dope van and loves
their version of
D&D, which is called Tales of Yore. He has a campaign.
but it's historically accurate.
It's pretty much a history book. So if you had a D&D campaign at home based on like Neanderthals and Homo erectus and all that
Or
stuff.
Yeah.
risk.
Yeah.
Would risk be appropriate?
Kind of, I
kinda,
guess,
yeah.
except without the RPG stuff,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And on his 16th birthday, Ian sets out to make himself different, to learn how to drive, to speak up, all this stuff. He goes to school,
Be like dad.
and none of that stuff happens.
Yeah.
And then he goes back home, embarrassed because he can't make friends. And then his mother gives him a gift because he said once the father said before he passed away, said once the boys are old enough, give them this. And
Once
it's
they're both older than 16.
16. And it's a staff, and the staff contains an incantation as well as a phoenix stone. And with those 3 items, then you could bring back the dad for one day until the sunset of the next day. The spell goes awry because they don't know that Ian is truly the wizard of the family, and they bring back only half of his body, which you see in the trailer.
Mhm.
And then they figure out what can they do. In that nice plot device, the phone gets destroyed, so they just go on a journey
Yeah.
to go
That
find.
was, I was like, way to go, guys.
Yeah. And so they go on a journey to try to find another Phoenix Stone. And this
Thanks
leads
to Barley, because he
Barley.
knows all
Everything.
things about everything in this type of world. They need
Yes.
to go on a quest, and that's his speciality.
And I'll use this adventure and journeys onward.
Yes.
Ensues, and we get to meet a manticore. The mom finds a sword. We go to a pawn shop. We meet some pixies. They learn how to fly. We learn that Ian's going to become this wizard who's going to have to learn this arcane lightning.
magic.
Gelatinous cube.
A jealous cube shows up. They go through all this cave to find out.
Look like this.
They end up in the same. Caitlin is wearing a black shirt with intestines hanging out. For all those who are
and
listening,
it's all green and gooey.
Green
Like a
and
gelatinous cube.
and then we end up at the place where we didn't think we would be at back at the high school, and then a giant climactic fight because there's a curse with the Phoenix Stone that a giant stone dragon will come. And what we realize is that Barley,
The foreshadowing in that with the dragon on the wall, and
Yeah.
it becomes the face of the
The
dragon.
dragon.
Oh,
Yeah.
so good.
Barley has always really been the father figure to Ian, if not just like a good supporting family member. And
Realizations ensue.
Ian realizes that meeting his father is more important to Barley.
Yeah.
So
Because Barley never got to say,
Say
goodbye.
goodbye,
He was
'cause he was
too afraid. Yeah.
And also, he had, it was after his realization of knowing that he kind of already accomplished those things
Mhm.
without needing a dad.
Yes. And so Deus Ex Sword Machina ensues, and then Arcane Lightning, and Barley gets to meet his father for the last time.
And Ian sees them hug, and
that-
when they meet again, Barley and Ian, Barley says, "Dad wanted me to give you this," and it's the hug that he saw them share.
And then what happens is I
Cry.
fold into a crying mess.
Yeah.
That's
that's
very
about the
important.
time.
Epilogue ensues. Ian's able to make friends. They want to bring back magic into the world. And Manticore or Corey changes her tavern into the more adventurous tavern that adventures start out of, where she makes maps to the Phoenix Stones. And Ian and Barley go to the park flying in their van on
Because
the new Guinevere.
The most obvious road is rarely the right one.
And where we are going, we don't need roads.
Yep.
Yeah.
officer. So yeah, that's the movie.
Should have bite my tongue to not finish that.
Well done.
Next to
Proud of
the
you.
production.
The production. This was distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures. They did Toy Story, Finding Nemo, WALL-E, a huge list of movies. Directors, Dan Scanlon. He did Mater and the Ghost Light. That was a
Mater.
short. Tracy and Monsters University. The producer was Corey Ray. She did Monsters, Inc.
Shout out to Corey.
The Incredibles up. Is Corey Ray a female? I'm sorry. Yes, it
Yes.
is. Okay. Writers are Dan Scanlon, who did Mater and the Ghost
Mater.
Light, Trace, Monsters University. Jason Headley, who did To Say Goodbye, A Bad Idea Gone Wrong, and It's Not About the Nail.
Wonderful.
It's a wonderful short.
Look it up.
Check it out
on YouTube.
Keith Bunnan, he did In Treatment, which was a show, and Horns. The cast, Tom Holland, who did Dolittle, Spies in Disguise, Spider-Man Far From Home. Chris Pratt, Lego Movie, Parks and Rec, Guardians of the Galaxy. Julia Louise-Dreyfus, who did Veep, such a good show. Seinfeld, and Enough Said. Octavia Spencer, The Shape of Water, and The Help. Just watched The Help recently.
Yeah.
Very good. Release date, March 6, 2020. Runtime is 103 minutes. Budget/gross, it estimated 20 million for budget, and the estimated gross right now is estimated 40.1 million.
Someone's doing okay.
All right.
The Rotten Tomatoes score for critics is 86%, and for audience is 96%.
Wow.
Wow.
Mhm.
Tom, would
Also
you do the honors of
also
throwing this away?
Yeah, please.
Oh, no.
Not in there.
That's
Not in
new.
there.
Don't eat it.
No.
Also, shout out to John Ratzenberger, who was in Toy Story, Toy Story 2, Toy Story 3, Monsters Inc., Monsters University, Cars 1, 2, 3. Help me out here. Finding Nemo, Finding Dory.
Incredible.
Wait,
Incredibles,
what
Incredibles
was he
two.
in this?
Cars
He
1, 2,
was
and
one
3.
of the park police officers who goes to when he's
Yeah.
at the very top at the end. He's like, "All right, buddy, come on down." Just because he's in every single Pixar film.
Wow. Shout out.
in
And
some
there-
form or another.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of cameo appearances.
Yeah.
Ollie Wong, Lena Waithe, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
So, favorite parts?
Oh, the Trust Bridge.
Oh my God. That's what I wanted to talk about immediately. So I'm glad you brought it up
Yeah,
because
the
it's my favorite.
Fucking Trust Bridge was the best. When he's
Oh
all
my
super confident, he's
God.
like, "Yep, just
Yeah.
keep going."
Oh my
Don't
God.
look back.
You could see the tears grow like
Yeah.
good in his
Because
eyes.
he's like, "I could lose my brother at
right.
any second."
If he turns around even for a moment, he's
Yeah.
gone.
Can I be vulnerable for a second?
Yes.
That scene got ruined for me.
Why?
Because in my due diligence of looking up shit for the show, on
Did you
February
get a spoiler?
no, on February 20th, Chris Pratt made an appearance on Jimmy Kimmel, and they screened that scene.
Oh,
And
no.
so I was like, that has completely lost all like weight for me.
That's
But
why
I'm
you
like,
don't look anything up until you've seen
I
it.
had to do my job.
You could have
Yeah.
just paused
But
it
no,
or skipped the
I
clip.
watched. So I watched it, but I mean, it still had
Tom
the
doesn't
same,
care about
It still had
that
the
kind
same
of stuff.
effect, and I was like, cool. But I was like, I feel like
No.
I kind of like, I feel like I would have been because I heard people in the theater like, and I was like, I seen it.
Yeah.
I was like,
Oh,
oh
yeah,
my God.
I'll
no.
Oh
edge
my
of my
God.
seat the whole time.
That-
they don't show him actually getting across.
Oh, okay.
So they don't like just keep going, and it ends.
Oh, that last moment when he looks back and almost doesn't make it. I was like, "Oh my God."
my
I thought that
God.
scene was
I
really well
was-
done. The
Yeah.
tension's built.
Well, like the good thing they do with it, they set it up really well. So he falls down first because like you weren't thinking.
You weren't focused.
You
Yeah,
weren't
you
focused.
weren't trusting
You-
yourself.
Yeah, and then he misses on the second step. He's like you have to focus at every step.
Yeah.
It happened.
And then the rope falls off, and you're
The
like,
rope falls off like halfway through.
Like a wet, non al dente noodle.
"Yeah,
Yeah.
How long
Not-
was I? How long did you have the rope for? Pretty much the whole second half." Loved it.
Anytime Barley just goes, you got this. Just
Yeah.
warm my
Aw.
heart so much.
It's the good family
Big
member.
brother.
Well,
Yeah.
also the part where he's like, I'm not ready. You'll never be ready. Onward.
Yeah.
I was like, that's good.
yeah.
Merge.
That's my kind of support I need.
Yeah. It was I feel like that was a shout out to Clueless, right?
Probably.
With
Yeah.
the freeway scene.
Right.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
When she can't get on the freeway in LA, and then she
Oh.
does, and like they all almost die.
I mean, that feels accurate
Yeah.
to life. But yeah.
That
The gelatinous cube.
Gelatinous
Oh.
cube.
Gelatinous cube was
had
great.
to make an appearance.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course it
Yeah.
did.
Had to.
I
And
mean,
the way that it did was
I'm
just
glad.
so
Yeah,
good.
I'm gonna say
The
I'm glad.
reveal
that-
of how it came out.
In the
Yeah.
credits, did you see the credits? Where it's like
No.
shout out to Wizards of the Coast for letting us use the gelatinous cube because that's
Oh,
their.
that's
thing.
their
That's their
thing.
thing,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's
So they gave a shout out in the
good.
credits. Yeah.
awesome.
One thing,
Actually, my favorite my favorite scene feels so different from the rest of the movie. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's when he is listening to the tape and he is looking at the corkboard with his dad.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think what I really
Did you
like.
notice that there were tapes everywhere, not CDs or anything like that?
Mhm.
Yeah, I like
The
that.
thing I really liked about that scene was that like it was much slower than everything else. I think what I'm getting very used to in animation is that things have to happen like a millisecond, like as a beat.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Jesus criminy, just stay on one shot for a little bit, or like have some, slow
Let it
camera
breathe
work.
for a minute.
Even letting it breathe, but it's kind of like you can do quick cuts into a scene that takes a long time.
Yeah.
Just to build tension. But this scene, I feel like took its time, to really kind of hone in on like, why does this kid really want to meet someone he's never met, right? Because you can speak for and argue that like there's a lot of kids who never meet some certain parents and just learn to live and love their the other parent that they have. But then this one, it really kind of starts drawing in like it doesn't like try to convince you. It just tries to bring you in. It just tries to show like, hey, this is the shoe that we want to walk with.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool. And I really appreciated that like they're contrary to some Pixar formulas that like they hit you in the gut right in the beginning and then they just like try to bring you back into humanity throughout.
Yeah.
This is much more of like we're gonna slowly give you those inkling feelings of like loss that you need to understand so that this story of humanity is like told correctly.
Because like you're right, because like one of my favorite parts is kind of the beginning, him just trying to eat breakfast.
Yeah.
and he
Oh
eats
my
breakfast.
To
God.
me, I was like, that's such a Peter Parker moment. And
Yeah.
I fucking
Working hard, or
loved
how
it.
are they working?
Yeah. Oh yeah, can we talk about Bronco?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
At the end,
At the-
with his
with the
long
long
ass
hair.
hair.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's beautiful. I was born to
I
run.
was born to run. That was pretty phenomenal.
It
I
was
also
great.
just loved him coming in on breakfast and him awkwardly trying to sit down on
Kicking
the-
everything
the-
out of the way
yeah.
and like, yeah.
It's like this is.
I love that he drives a Bronco. Like,
Oh my
nice.
God.
Of course he does.
It's-
Of course
he does.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the illusion scene. The
Oh, the losing like an ear every time
Yeah,
it lies.
every little bit.
Lie.
I thought that was a great storytelling mechanic for the. Well, I don't agree with that he's a screw up.
And then he's like,
Oh,
I thought that was a really well done way of using the rules of the world to tell that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say like the thing with Disney and like we'll talk a little bit about like the weird reviews and stuff like that because I think it's to me I want to try and bring this into a positive. So the review that Ollie was talking about before, it's like a lot of critics said like this has pacing issues, and to me I think the pacing issues that people are now starting to count on a dime what happens in a Pixar movie, and to me that happened the entire movie. Like I knew exactly when things were going to happen, but it didn't take it away from me because the thing is something you can count on like a clock is sometimes super reliable, and so when you get those things that happen pretty well done, then it works for you.
Yeah.
If you just don't like the world you're in, then that's not going to help you. The fact that you
The
know what's going to
payoffs
happen.
are good.
Yeah.
You
so,
gotta
like-
keep in mind, like this isn't fucking Tenet. It's not like some. It's a kids film.
Yeah.
Like at the same time,
it needs to be like
I
they
w-
need to be able to follow it, and it needs to have a clear path.
Children need to be able to follow what's happening as well.
I think the tough thing with that, though, and just to speak about it, it was like every animated film that's ever won has never been a rated R film,
yeah.
right? So like all the animated films are always going to be like catered towards children, but then there's only one Best Animated award. There's
Yeah.
never like a Best Animation Team, right?
Right.
So it's like the one coveted thing, and that's why I think animation gets such hard scrutiny nowadays about those things. Is because it's like, well, if you're only going to be selling to like children, then you have to like be on T. Like,
Well, because like, and not to like discredit any other
Yeah.
company, but like if it was like a smaller thing, like a Saturday morning from a different company, it would just be those characters going on the quest. But like this wasn't only about that.
Mhm.
Like and to me, yeah, the quest, like we know they're gonna get to the end of the quest, but the bigger point of it is like they're kind of figuring out the world and themselves
Oh,
kind of in that.
I mean, I even mean it to the in minutia. Like I knew like they can't be friends. They have to have some drama right at the
Oh,
very
yeah.
end that like
yeah.
is going to make them forced to be true friends at the very end, because there has to be a point where like they have to like, hey, I trust you, but I don't really trust you yet,
Yeah.
so I refuse the thesis of the film.
Well, you could tell that from the beginning when he rips the sweater and like steals
Yeah.
the food or
Yeah.
but
Well, also
like,
with a
it's-
smaller cast, you kind of have to do that.
And so, like, what I'm saying, like, I counted on every single plot point. Like, so nothing gave me a curveball at all in this film. But then, like,
Wow.
I didn't take that as a bad thing because it's like, how are you going to use these these formulas and mechanisms within the world that you're developing? And I thought it was done like as well as they could possibly do it.
yeah.
Is
I-
that coming from like just being a film person and knowing beats?
I
of
would say this:
things?
if you watch every Pixar film, they're almost very, very, very similar.
There's an outline.
And
There's
they just use the world to tell the story,
like Rick and Morty following the
the journey.
hero's journey.
Mhm.
But like so the same thing. Like with the ending, I knew he wasn't going to meet his dad.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the way it was executed, I loved it.
Yeah, and I mean, like,
I wanted him to meet his dad. I wanted that. I wanted to be surprised that he would. And I thought if he did, it would be a half a second of something, and whatever was left behind would be more meaningful than the actual interaction.
Right.
And so
Which in many cases that it is what ended up happening.
That's yeah. He got to see him through a peephole.
exactly. And so with that, like to that point, yeah, but it didn't take away from
no, and
any
to me,
sort of
the
experience.
thing is,
I
like,
had.
that means you're getting tired of the formula.
Yeah.
You're not getting tired of the story. You're getting tired of the formula.
Yeah.
And so like, you're asking for a movie that's going to be like, well, then what if he kills the brother and then the dragon comes out? Like, you know what I mean?
What
Like, that's
but
what they're asking for. They want a subversion. It's like, well, why are you asking it from? Like, you're asking a cookie to be a sandwich.
Right.
Like, don't do that. Like, critique the cookie because how good of a cookie it is.
I loved
But
all
if a
those
cookie
moments.
is baked, does that make it a pie?
Oh my god, you love that.
I love those like pocket. That's why I didn't mind it because I was like, each of these little pockets of this quest are like amazing, like either storytelling, interactions, or just some cool like novel thing that I'm drawn
Like
towards
all the
because I'm a nerd.
spells?
Like all the
All the
spells.
spells
Oh,
were
the
awesome.
spells
and
were
the
so
conditions for the
great.
spells.
Yeah.
And like I ate that stuff up.
Josh?
I was just gonna say, you only just reminded me of this is a favorite part about it. It's more of an aspect of it is a smaller cast. There aren't a whole bunch of people that we're focusing on. It's
4 main
mainly
people.
Yeah.
and I like that aspect of it because the movie can potentially have a very grand scale, and you get to peephole it just focusing on these groups
Just
or
like
these
Ian
characters.
seeing his dad.
Yeah.
It's 4 billings, right? It's like
It's 4 stars, but everyone else is
yeah.
a guest star. I mean, if you kind of think about it, like a lot of Pixar's are like that. Like
Yeah.
Inside Out is joy and sorrow, and
Mhm.
then like Toy Story is Buzz and Woody, and then Bug's
Mhm.
Life is Flick.
Yeah.
And so like
Yeah.
and then Cars is Steve McQueen and
I
Mater.
don't know.
So
I kind of like Bud and Woozy.
Buzz and Woozy.
Bud
Anyway.
and Woozy.
I mean,
My-
I get a lot of Woodsy Bud.
Another one of my favorite parts was Manticore tearing down her tavern.
Oh
Just
my
like
gosh.
realizing
Yeah.
who she
That's pretty
needs to be.
What have
Yeah.
I become?
Whoever said this? I think you did.
Quote direct.
What
on
have
the
I
wall.
become?
Talking about the magic thing, I liked that mechanism of you had a map of where you needed to go. What if I just try Arcane Lightning? It's like, high end.
Level 1 wizard.
in a very, I think, and this sounds really bad when I say it, but in a very basic, fundamental way, you pretty much outlined an anime shonen. Like pretty much like, hey, here's Super Saiyan. You won't get to that until the end of the season.
Yeah.
Like you won't get to Lightning until the end when you actually need to do it. And you see those inclinations because he tries to do it and he fails. I think that's
Yeah.
the important part is that he fails to do it. He's not.
Mhm.
What's the stupid fucking bullshit gatekeeping term? The Mary Sue and the Larry Joe Sue.
Yeah.
What?
Gary Stu
Gary
and Mary
Stu.
Sue.
Yeah.
What
so
is-
It's
That-
a self-insert. Like they're a blank character that you can put yourself in their shoes very easily.
No.
No.
So a Mary,
That's the
Mary
audience-
Sue means like someone who can do something instantly
A lot of people
without
said
any sort of failure or trial.
a lot of
like
people
Ray.
said Captain Marvel
Oh.
and Ray were like
I
that
had a very
because
different
yeah.
understanding of what those things
Yeah.
were.
And so a male version is the Gary Stu. But a lot of people say that
They
for
just have
Mary.
all the power all at the time.
A lot of people say Mary Sue's are the because they are boring
Right.
because they
I
don't
think
they
that's
don't
both
There's no
things.
challenge
they
to them.
don't challenge anything.
Right.
It's like what people say Superman is. There's no
They're
challenge to him, so it's a
blank
Gary
slate
Stu.
that you can insert yourself into that has all the powers.
But
Okay.
with this, like Ian doesn't know how to do magic all the time, and when he does it for plot, which is cool and fine because it works for the story. But then like you see him try to do arcane lightning multiple times and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, to me, I like that because it shows like,
Or failing the Giganta spell.
yeah,
Oh my. Okay.
Yes.
The
Cheeto.
No. Fun.
yes.
No, the van scene when he's getting
Oh,
when he's
Guinevere.
Guinevere,
Sending
when
off
he's
Guinevere.
sending
Oh,
off Guinevere,
and the,
just
like,
the
clopping.
music, and then the tire goes flat, and then it sounds like it.
Well,
like
he
a-
slaps
and then-
the butt too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just. I just the whole time I was like, yes,
It was
That's
wonderful.
pretty great.
yes.
I've never felt like so bad for a vehicle, but I
Yeah.
love that they chose that it was that they sent off into the sunset because
Yeah.
like I was invested in it and I was really sad for it, but I was also like, it's just a car.
Yeah.
It's not.
How
no
dare
one's
you.
dying. I know. I'm sorry.
It's Guinevere.
But it's
I
Guinevere
know.
2's there now. So
Yeah,
it's
Guinevere
that's true,
too.
that's true,
it made
for
me
sure.
really want Pixar to do a Western, even though another animation company did. Was it Rango?
Rango
Oh,
was
yeah.
great.
Oh,
by
yeah.
the
So I
way.
was like,
I don't
man,
think
that
I've
was kind of
seen-
like
I never
that.
saw
But then
that.
if Pixar did it, like,
should watch it.
hopefully just playing to all the tropes and shit like that. But
Um,
Yeah.
I mean, it's an easy one, but for me, pretty much the last
Gelatinous Cube.
the last sequence of the film of just the the curse revealing itself,
The
it becoming the
fight.
dragon, the fight, the mom being like, I am a
Mighty
powerful
warrior.
warrior.
And then she does like the side to side
Zumba.
Zumba.
Yeah. Just the whole, and him, like the power that he takes on, and the peephole, the whole
splinter.
thing, the hug.
It was so well
But
done.
then he has
All
that
the
splinter for the
beats.
rest of the film. It's his staff
The splinter
Yeah.
part was cool.
Yeah.
With the
Yeah.
gigantic spell,
Harley
yeah.
went, it's only in the ocean. It's right there. You could go get
He
it.
could,
But the thing is,
Not
now
right then,
He
but
doesn't
maybe
need it.
later.
if you think about it, it's not his staff, it's his father's staff.
Ah,
and
true.
so
Now
now
it's
he
his
has his
staff.
own.
True.
And so that's the kind of thing where it's like now he can then teach people how to make their own staffs.
and he
the
doesn't
other
need
ones.
to sand it down anymore because it's the splinter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There aren't splinters on a splinter.
Yeah, there are.
Yes.
Whoa, I feel like you just opened up like this mind hole where you're like, wait, what did come
Hair
first?
can't have loose ends.
You can't triple stamp a double stamp, Lloyd.
I actually really thoroughly enjoyed all the sprite stuff.
Yeah.
The
Like,
pixies?
the pixies?
Yeah. Were they pixies? I
they're
thought they called them
pixies.
Yeah,
sprites in the movie.
the pixie
Grey Griffin.
dusters.
Yeah, Grey Griffin.
Yeah.
Plays a
No.
pixie.
I was going pixie, but I thought I heard sprite in the movie.
I
But
think
either way.
Interchangeable?
Barley called them a sprite at some point.
I think so. But either
Grey
way,
Griffin
that was
is as Dewdrop, a pixie and the leader of the Pixie Dusters biker gang.
Uh-huh.
that was pretty great. Like their interactions
is.
in there. I love the bearded one.
Yeah.
That was like
Looked like ZZ Top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that was amazing.
Yeah.
And then they fly by the end of it
And
all,
they
which I
fly.
loved. It was fantastic. The whole chase scene with them was really great. With the dad waving out the side of the car like he's flipping them off, and they're like, "Wait, what?"
I love that they also like developed a nickname for him, despite not saying anything. It's like, "What's wrong with you, Shades?"
Shades.
Yeah, shit, and then just
Plopped over.
But it was like
Sassy
this
ass
sassy.
yeah.
I also really liked the way that the bottom half walked. Like it very obviously was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
dancing.
The dancing was so
The dancing was great.
good.
A great little plot mechanic was the dun 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 dun, dun.
Oh,
And bringing it
snap.
up 20, 30 minutes before too. And he's like,
Mhm.
yeah, I just used to do that on his shoes. It's the only memory I have. And then that's, of course, how do you communicate with someone who can't see or talk? It's
Yeah.
a brilliant. I thought that was a brilliant little writing bit.
Mhm.
That was
Wonderful.
great.
Uh,
All of
it's
it.
And like the
Wonderful.
surprise that like the emotion that feet were able to give
Oh,
off
oh,
at
yeah.
the surprise.
Yes. Yeah, it's like you obviously you don't have an upper half, so you don't have a face to judge and so seeing the reaction of the lower half of like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I know who I'm
Yeah. Or
touching
when he's
right now.
looking for, he's like, he's
Talking
not here.
You
That
know,
was, like, looking
Yeah,
for
it's
Barley.
searching.
Oh, that
There-
was so sad.
something I like that possibly could be a quote unquote plot hole, but it's something that I appreciated is that Barley didn't know everything. Because Barley starts out the story where he's like, oh, we have to go do this, and we have to go meet the Manticore, then we have to go over there, then you never take a road, da da da.
Yeah.
And then when we get to a temple, he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And I like that because to me, it's two things, right? It's like he knows the conceptual ideas of adventures, but he doesn't know the applicable
Right.
forms of it.
It's
But
like reading a
also,
book and then trying to apply it immediately.
but also he doesn't become like if anyone ever wants to watch like the most boring character of all time, it's fucking Adrian Brody and fucking the Predator. And
Huh.
it's fucking everything. That's what I would have done. And it's like, he's hunting us.
That was my favorite
'cause that's what
character.
I would. I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up. Well, get the fuck off the planet then. If you're so fucking smart. And so like Barley here, it's like, cool. Like he knows enough to get him in trouble. But then when he gets through it, like one
or
of my
out
favorite,
of trouble.
no, get himself into
Oh,
trouble.
yeah.
and out
Oh,
sometimes.
and out.
But like what I really love is actually like during the booby trap scene where it's like two,
There's
it's
a
like not enough time,
puzzle.
not enough time. Just go pick up a shield. I'm like, yeah, because that's what a real adventure typically is. It's like no battle plan survives first contact with the enemy.
Yeah.
And
And
so,
he came
like-
up with the Cheeto bit.
Yeah.
Use what you
Oh,
have.
writing the
That's great.
Cheeto was so
And-
good.
and
Stop
so-
eating the boat.
it's those certain things that I like, that those are rules that you do with characters, that they can't know everything, and especially when things happen, like sometimes things change.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
it just makes it so it's not boring.
I
Yeah.
was kind of wondering when the cheese puff was going to get soggy and melt like into the water, but I'm glad that it didn't.
I mean,
Maybe it's too big. It's no longer porous enough to absorb water.
There you go.
Mm.
Thank
The
you.
pores are too
Large
Corey.
Cheeto mechanics.
like
Yeah, what are the
Thank
large
you.
Cheeto
Like,
physics
I
here?
was really bothered by it, and that actually just like you're right.
enough. That's
like
enough.
like a wood ship
Yeah.
because that also has pores.
like
Yeah.
I
So-
say, it just takes a single sentence.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
It does.
So
I'm totally fine with the cheese
Cool.
poof
Awesome.
now.
Or if you just know molecular science of what cheese poofs are, then you don't
I
need
don't actually, but Josh,
I was going to say, so there's not a huge cast. So
For
how would
characters.
we do favorite
it.
characters?
First and second
Mm.
favorite character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can
Um,
do a side character.
I mean, sure. First and second character.
Okay. That's tough. Well, here's the thing. I feel like I like Ian a lot because he's a wizard. I said this at our live show last night. If I could be a wizard in real life, I would, but I can't. So I play one in D&D. However, I feel like I relate to Barley more.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll say Barley.
And
my
then your
favorite.
second character?
Corey.
Okay.
I thought she was great.
because of the name?
I really loved the Manticore.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, the cool thing about the character too is like, again, the whole, I guess, background subtext of the film is trying to reconnect with our natures,
yeah.
and so like Manticore having to
Refinding
learn,
yourself.
Yeah.
learning how to fly again.
Yeah. And I loved the Harold and Kumar-esque, like, let's burn this place down. Loved it.
Also stabbing the pawn shop owner in the neck.
Yeah.
You call that a Harold and Kumar, like the one scene in Harold and Kumar, like that's a Harold Kumar staple.
No, I'm just saying it is it's a big moment. It's one of my favorite
Anthony
moments in the
Anderson's
movie.
like the one scene.
Yeah, it's great. Like every time I think of someone like losing their mind and saying we need to burn down,
It's Harold
that's what I
Kumar.
think of. So yes, it
Okay.
was.
All right.
It's one of the stick out moments of Harold and Kumar to me. So I'd say Corey's the second.
I
Mhm.
will say Barley. I really loved Barley. And I really, really enjoyed the mom. I loved
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved her
She was
journey through
amazing.
it. And she was just I think you strike an interesting dynamic with this kind of story where she's finding out too
Who she is.
that the husband
Oh.
could come back.
Yeah.
And
And
that's
way
really
complicated.
that's way complicated, but it's also kind of like, and she's just cool through the journey, and
Yeah.
she's finding her power, and then
Well,
she's
like that
embracing
moment
her power at the end.
when they
and-
first find the spell and she like goes off into her own little corner. It's like, what did you get into? What kind of crazy thing
yeah.
did you get into? And the brothers are
Mhm.
having their moment, but she's having this whole like, am I gonna see him again? Like, what is this?
Yeah,
It was very, very real.
Mhm.
Mm.
that's my answer.
My favorite is Bailey. Wait, no,
Barley.
Barley.
Bailey's Bailey's in a can.
Bailey's in a shoe.
Barley.
There it is.
Barley. And then it's Bronco for second.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Bronco.
Yeah. I
Cold
just
You know,
Bronco.
centaurs used to be able to run 70 miles per hour.
I got a vehicle.
I
Why would you do
loved
that?
every bit of like everything all the comedy with him was
Yeah.
amazing.
Caitlin?
Mm. I am still pondering a little bit. So if you know,
This
That'd be
is our
great.
show, Caitlin.
I know.
I'm gonna pull the curtain back for our audience. What the hell? I'm kidding.
For me, I would say
For Tom.
the thing is you like Ian because he's an audience surrogate. You see him grow. You see your stories with him, but that doesn't make him to me the most likable. So I like Barley as my top, and then I think the second is Bronco
Mhm.
because it's very. I think it's a tough racket to be the second man in a family's life,
Yeah.
and I think they play it to a comedic standpoint, but then like he's not really terrible.
I
Like,
feel like
He
maybe
just
you
doesn't
agree.
jive with the Sons.
You might agree with me on this because I think I mean, obviously we've talked about this before in a recent movie. When they do stepdads really well,
hmm
I really dig it.
Yeah.
Like I'm like,
I
you
mean,
have
he's not
a-
even a stepdad. He's just the boyfriend.
Yeah.
or yeah,
And like, I mean, that's the thing where it's like, dude, like,
eventually stepdad,
yeah.
whatever.
and like, I think, yeah, when they're done, when they're done to a point where they're not malicious and
Yeah.
evil, and it's like they're just another bystander human. Like, I think it's a tough break to have, and I think a film tries to do well where it's like, because I'll tell you right now, when my parents got divorced and my mom started dating, like I didn't fucking like any dude that she dated because there was just that weird child mentality of like, you're gonna replace
You're
my
not my real dad.
Well, it's like you're
Yeah.
trying to replace my dad, but then like that's fucking anyone that came was like, I'm here to replace dads.
Yeah.
That's my MO. I'm the dad man,
Well,
the
I'm
one
glad
who dads.
I'm just glad that it's. I'm glad that it's dealing with that subject and
Yeah.
it's putting
Yeah.
a
Well,
positive.
I have
light
an
on it.
amazing stepdad, so when I see a good
Same.
There you go.
stepdad
Yeah.
story, I'm
It's-
like,
Shout out to
Thank
Mike.
you.
What up? My
Ant-Man
dad.
and- It was
It's- shout out
Ant-Man
to
and the
Greg.
Wasp.
Yeah,
That was the other movie.
Yeah, it's trying to normalize it, and
He
I'm
called-
kind of like, yeah, like every family is it's a whole unit, even if it's broken or dysfunctional or fucking got its own quirks.
Mhm.
And so I really like that because I think especially Disney has a fucking long legacy of like, if it's broken, then it's fucking a tragedy, and the princess needs to find a man.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's nice when
Real
good stuff is
aggressive.
written.
But how do you feel?
That there's
What?
more damage that they've done than good.
That's
All
fair.
right.
Okay.
So,
Caitlin,
Caitlin,
Yeah.
it's your time.
the Cheeto in the
I-
pants.
What? The Cheeto in the pants? That's the.
I mean,
What's your
hey, if you're
characters?
not going to decide, I'll decide for you.
I was having trouble because my two favorites are Ian and Barley in that order. Ian, just because he's going through all that growth, and it's like the people around him, when he does something that's seemingly out of character, like his mom is proud of him. They're like, wow, he's actually like changing. That's great. Good. And then Barley, I've known a lot of Barleys in my life, like people who are exactly like
what's
him.
Barley's last name?
Lightfoot?
The Barleys you've met.
Oh, no.
No personal information
No,
on the
we're
show.
not doing that. But like, I've lost some of those people because they like couldn't move on from some stuff. So like that was like a heartwarming thing, but I couldn't make it my favorite because I had too much baggage attached.
Sure.
But a character that why I was him-hawing so much is because I really like the dad. I like the dad. I like his story, the feet.
Yeah.
I do like the feet. But I
Kind of
liked
the concept of him and
who he was. He was like secretly a wizard, and even his like family didn't know.
He's
Like
an accountant.
he was an accountant and also
That
a
is a money
wizard.
wizard.
That's true. But like
Make money
That's what I thought they
disappear.
were gonna say.
he left his family the ability to see him after he died, and is like, hey, you guys, man, one of you is probably a wizard. Psst. Like,
Yeah. Well, actually, what I got from the story was that he wasn't a wizard the whole time. Like he started learning that knowing he was dying, and was like, oh,
Right.
there's a way that I could come back for a day.
10 years later, welcome
Yeah.
to Disney Pixar's sequel to Onward, Backward.
oh god. But
It's
but
just the
also,
top
like,
half during the whole adventure. And he's like, what is going on?
It's just four.
Yeah. In this
Scrolling.
like void of nothing.
But what if it was like Tales of Yore that
Was based
their
on him.
dad, that their dad was into, and then like that was just a game that was lying around, and that's where he learned about
Oh, yeah,
the
that's- I
Phoenix
like
Stone
that.
and everything
Could be,
else,
yeah.
and that's how Barley got into Tales of Yore because it was already at the house and was like something his dad liked.
Sounds like a fan wiki.
Like, of course it is, but that's why I'm like, I want him to be my favorite character because of all this headcanon I've created.
I actually pegged you that you'd like Corey the most.
Corey,
Yeah.
nah.
I feel like
She was cool, but
when,
like,
when's that scorpion
I was like,
oh, that
she
was
died.
hilarious.
That pawn shop owner died.
but also,
No, it should just be paralyzed for
Paralyzed.
an hour.
I really liked her and how she like had her story
And
of
her
like
tattoos.
the tattoos and burning down the building. But in like, I don't know, she kind of lost a couple brownie points for me at the pawn shop when she's like, "This sword is so rare," right in front of the pawn shop owner. I'm like, "Woman, no, you be like, this is a piece of tin
She
foil."
just
Shout out to
Well,
Tracy
she also,
Ullman, by the way.
to her credit, she also always has the solution for it.
Yeah.
That's true, and she did. She stabbed her in the neck. So yeah,
I mean, to be fair, Corey just came out of like the quiet place.
that's fair.
Yeah.
So I mean, like she doesn't know the world yet. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Are you
That's
talking about
true.
the from Get Out,
The
like
sinking
ting, ting?
place thing,
Yeah, the
yeah.
sinking place.
Yeah, she just got out of that. So
Yeah.
fair. That's fair.
So
Yeah.
now move on to qualms.
Qualms?
Yeah.
Qualms. Who would like to start?
I'll start.
All right.
I don't really have any.
All right, perfect. So I'll
Um,
go. No, I'm just kidding.
I had one that was like a
A reach around.
Just say the words, please.
Hell yeah, Tom.
it's a reach, right?
It's a reach.
Around.
There was like the passage of time in the journey, okay, wait, you don't have a car, but now you have to go on foot and then do this thing in this certain amount of time. It was like there was the only part where I was like, but it's a kids movie.
Well, I mean, that's what a lot of criticism was about Dark Knight Rises. They don't like ticking time bombs. A lot of core audience don't prefer ticking time bombs as your source of like why pace needs to happen.
yeah,
I mean, the premise of the film is a ticking time bomb. So I mean, like, it's hard.
How do you get around that?
But I will say there
Yeah.
was a part where I was like, I thought he had 2 minutes left. Then I was like, maybe that was 2 hours, and I'm an idiot.
It's 2 hours.
Yeah, and I was like,
Um,
that's it.
yeah.
I'm an idiot. That's
but
fine.
it was one of those things that didn't. Again, it did not take away from it at all. I thought it came into my head once, and but that's it. I
Did
don't
it-
really
did it
have
wipe
qualms. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
Please next.
Somebody else?
I mean, I was kind of in the sorry.
go ahead. No, no, no.
So
Just to tack onto yours, because like the only thing that really stuck out to me at all was when they were following the Raven's Point, and like you could
That was
see
the only
how
point.
you could see how far away they were and like where it pointed to.
In
So,
the
like,
rain one day, one scene.
Naturally, no, that didn't bother me.
Okay.
It was more of that like, they would see it, but then they'd kind of like veer off to the side because they could already see where it was pointing to. But there was like one shot where they walk all the way directly under, and then they turn and are like that way. Like I was like, you didn't have to. You knew where it was going. Why didn't you like from 50 feet away start to make that turn?
'Cause you have to make it perfectly aligned.
I know, but it's
So
still.
if you're
Maybe
off
they
by
couldn't
this
see the
much,
other
you
one.
don't get it.
They could have maybe not
okay.
seen the other Raven in
That's
that one.
That's
I don't
fair. That's fair. That's
The
fair.
pores in the
Small.
Cheeto, though.
Horse in the
are
Cheeto.
too large.
More fan wiki.
The Cheeto poop would have been a qualm, but now it's not because science, I
If he
guess.
shrunk the
'Cause
world.
science. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Corey.
For me, it was the, I'm going to throw this word out there, pacing of the ending. The realization moment felt very like, and the dragon fight felt very like, oh, we ran out of time.
Boom, 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 boom.
Let's get it done. Let's get to the end of the scene. Like, I just wish that the,
Are you saying it felt rushed? Is
yes.
that- okay.
Yeah, the pacing of that felt too quick. I wanted to live in that moment of him realizing the connection between him and his brother without so many flashbacks. Like, live in that moment a little more. Maybe he was talking to his dad, like out loud. Like, he's like, I know you can't hear me, but like, this is kind of all we're going to get.
Mhm.
And through that conversation, maybe he realizes that he's always had a brother.
Oh, I would have died.
Instead of for me, the flashbacks took the impact away because a lot of the flashbacks were the ones we just saw.
Let me add to that.
Yeah.
That, and sorry, Ollie, this is a spoiler. That happens in Saw 1. And it's like,
Yeah.
and to me, that became such a trouble. Like, oh, and then at the third act, we're going to get a flashback that explains all the shit we just saw.
Yeah.
And to me, that is a formulaic flaw with children films because they have to do that.
Yeah.
Mm.
I still think it could have been done through a conversation with his dad instead.
I think to me, the other way to go about it without the conversation with his dad is that like you make the thing is you make this more adult, and the thing is an adult audience watching it. If the brother Barley came by, he's like, I'm sorry, and he looks at this Barley and he realizes all that happened. He looks through the lines and things.
Yeah.
That's it, because you're assuming and you're counting on the audience's intelligence
Yeah.
that all that shit just happened.
Yeah.
When you
But I'm still trying to do it kid way and assume that Barley is still stuck at the fountain.
Yeah.
It would be they watch the sunset, and he talks to his dad, and through that he realizes he's like, yeah, but I'm gonna be okay though because I have Barley who, and then he kind of realizes his list, and that could have been it. No flashbacks needed. I think that was the biggest part for me.
And
Is
then
that I was like,
the
I
dad-
want to live in these
Yeah.
revelations more, but it was
Yeah.
like, let's realize this. Let's go fight the dragon. Okay, the dragon's dead, and let's spend a lot more time on that dad moment,
it's kind of
which you
flip-flop-
needed.
It's flip flopping the
Yeah.
ending.
But I didn't feel like it
Or-
earned that moment.
Or like more meaningful moment with the brother afterwards.
Yeah.
Also, like,
Sure.
yeah, I could see
something
that.
where like I agree with you. Like
Yeah.
I wanted more of the
Yeah.
I wanted it to be juicier,
Yeah.
but
Well,
I didn't get.
and
you,
for-
you do what Stranger Things did, and they start playing a game.
Yeah. For me, that could have all been traced back to that.
Yeah.
The flashbacks. I just didn't need it.
Yeah,
No.
that's a good point. I
Oh.
I
have a
wish there
couple.
was a more creative way to
Go ahead,
that it had
Ollie.
been done.
I have a couple.
Oh, do you have any
And,
more? We're keeping it to
That's
two.
it.
Remember,
Yeah, mine are two.
minor two.
And one it's kind of unorthodox, but you'll see. Essentially, I feel like there wasn't enough
Batman.
Impressive.
Batman. No.
How do you
No, I
say-
think there was a lot more opportunity for them to have a little bit more spectacle in the sense of like you can like wow us more, like the Ravens point thing. I feel like they could have done something like where it's a massive castle or something
like
that
like in Frozen 2 when she goes into the little island thing
Yeah.
and discovers like this giant ice castle.
The idea that I thought would be really cool was like if it was like an underground crazy castle thing, and then like it comes up to the point, and the point breaches the surface, and it's the top of the fountain,
Oh.
and it's under like
like Hellboy 2.
Whoa.
and like I wanted a little bit more adventure and like villains kind of in this kind of thing.
An actual antagonist.
And and then I started thinking about the movie more, and this is both my qualms in one. And every day to work, I passed by the billboards, and that's pretty much all I saw for this movie. We talked about the budget. It's fairly low, I would say, for a Pixar movie.
Yeah.
And I think that's where my qualm sits. So it's not really a qualm on the movie, it's a qualm on the budget.
it's qualm on that
because I
Disney did
feel like-
not. I don't think they're putting a lot of money into Pixar anymore. They're putting more into Disney animation.
Right.
Yeah.
If that sounds like, this might be a first piece of evidence of that, because like they could have had an app. Like I even searched the app store. There's no Onward app. Like they could have had a game where like you could be a wizard or like do spells. Like they could have done a lot more to get
Yeah.
more people into this, because some of the criticisms I read was about like like, okay, it wasn't like a bubbly character. It wasn't super colorful cast of characters. Like, no one's gonna want this, on their like, no one's gonna want a shirt of a character.
So real quick, like on that, like some of our initial reactions were I didn't know what to expect.
Right.
Could have been
And
solved with
could have been
more
solved
of that.
but it's a qualm for the movie as well, because that would have then meant that the movie would have benefited from some of that, stuff, like more of those like spectacle moments, like boss fights, things like that. Like, I think there was some more opportunity in there, and I know the movie isn't about that, but you can always write it around that, where the characters need each other and stuff like that.
It's tough because you don't know how little or how much marketing is going to help. Because if you look at the marketing campaign for the first Frozen, there was not one.
Well, it's like I guess it's more of like a cyclical thing. Like the content being marketable would have made the marketing easier, and then the marketing would have helped the movie.
Sure. But again, Frozen was the largest animated film of its time.
Yeah.
And it had the same amount of marketing this did. So it doesn't always, A doesn't always equal B.
You can't always tell, but I will say, I think to that point, and I've talked about it too, where it's like, I think sometimes the test audience stuff becomes that hindrance because they see that it's not 100% like what's not likable, the characters of this, and then they choose not to put more money into it. And that's also
Which
things will happen.
It's interesting because that means that the test audiences for Frozen were like, well, this isn't.
Yeah, I mean,
we don't put money into this, and then it was a fucking hit.
That's I think the same thing that happened to Lion King.
Yeah,
because they were putting more money into another animated film, and then Lion King's the one that blew it out.
Oh wow!
And so it's like that's the kind of
you
funny
never
thing.
know.
You never know, but it's kind of like it kind of shows when you don't treat all of your children right.
Yeah.
And so it's like give them all the fair chance.
So I just bring that up because it was the one of the first times where it was very noticeable, like the end product, both the movie and the billboard. Because I mean, I'll say this, and you guys might disagree. I don't know. It's fine. I think Toy Story 4 looked better than this did. And I think it's just a factual thing of like you just have more money, so there's more particle effects, more atmospheric effects, better lighting.
Well, Onward. What's Onward before this? Nothing. What's Toy Story before Toy Story 4? Oh, it's 3 films.
Yeah.
So like
it's a multi-million-dollar franchise.
They're banking on recognizability of the brand. So it's
So I mean,
this is a better story
made a profit,
than Toy Story 4, but
it
didn't look as
unfortunately,
good. Didn't look as pretty.
It just kind of breaks my heart a little bit, only because Pixar has made their name on originals. Like I feel like they're like, the sequels do fine, but really the things that blow people away are these incredible original ideas that kind of blow your mind.
I've always had for the last like 6 or 7 years.
I feel like they should be putting all their love, more of their love should be going, I feel like, into their originals than
original content.
They don't follow their rule they used to have.
Yeah.
Where it was like for every sequel they did 3 originals, 2 originals, something like that. And they don't do that anymore. Now it's the opposite. It's like every 3 sequels will get 1 original in there.
Shout out to Bob Iger. So I mean that's also like an interesting.
Bob Iger.
I've always
out of here.
I've always said that where it's like a Disney or a DreamWorks original is like sometimes as good as a Pixar sequel.
Yeah.
And like that's kind of like a really rough thing to say.
And I get that. It's like the Underground Castle. They didn't have the budget to hire more artists and more. And it's like
Set
the
design
people that
and
were
all that
there.
stuff.
But what we got
knocked out of the park.
What we got was
great.
incredible. Like for the budget, for that studio has a legacy for a reason. Like they delivered.
Quim Quams, Tom?
Yeah.
So I mean, I want to kind of preface this real
DJ
quick.
Qualms?
So does anyone know how the story of the film got created?
No.
So Dan
Enlighten us.
Scanlon, the writer director, this happened to him.
What?
So he
was a wizard elf?
Yeah. Him and his brother never met their father.
Oh.
And they had a tape, and this is what I watched from the Jimmy Kimmel, and was fucking fucked me up, but also helped me now. And they had a tape, and the only thing on the tape was hello and goodbye from their dad. And he had made the film for his brother without his brother ever knowing what the film was about. And so to me, those kind of things are
Oh my God.
much more important.
Let me change my rating real quick.
Yeah, and so having that kind of prior knowledge and knowing where Dan Scanlon came from, like he came from Monsters University, and to me, like I don't think of Monster University as one of Disney's greatest films of all time.
It's a fun film.
But coming from a story that's really personal to him, I vie for this film so much more, and like I said, like this has so much more heart than I think a lot of other films did. But that being said, like that's where I think the marketing comes in hand because this is a director film.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why
It sounds like he has a pitch
it's not
to
a
them.
director. It's not a film by committee. It's a director. It's a film by a director. And that's where I think the strongest points of it is in that sense. Yeah, a lot of the weakest points of the film, I think, are because of not. I think the trailer kind of hindered it because, again, I was beat for beat. I knew exactly what was going to happen. And the moment, like Barley said, I never got to say goodbye. It's like, well, I know the ending's changed now because that's going to happen.
Mhm.
Like, thanks for telling me exactly how this is going to end.
Hmm.
And like that
yeah.
happened every single time. And to me, I was like, I could tap every single moment. Like, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. She's going to say, I am a warrior. I'm like, it's like, it was to the point where like, I didn't hate it, but I was just like, it was almost like, why were we so conformed to this thing when I know what you wanted to do with the story.
Hmm.
And I think that I would say like it is like a byproduct of the formula, which has now shown maybe some chinks in the armor. And I think my last qualm and other qualm was going to be that I think inclusion of guest stars kills the budget.
Oh.
Like
Like-
Tracy Ullman.
Like Ollie Wong.
Probably.
Yeah.
And I mean, in sad fact, like Ollie Wong or Lena Waithe's character, like, I don't know if you guys know this, destroyed the film overseas because certain
Whoa.
countries don't want to see lesbians.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that whole thing.
And so like that's also why it's like
They must have hated Paranorman.
yeah, and so like the film is quote unquote underperforming at this point
Yeah.
to Disney's standard. Like it only pulled 40 million for a weekend
Only pulled 40 million.
versus where I think projected they wanted 100 million. Because that's what their bar of success is.
Oh my
And
god.
so to that, it feels hard. And like that film doesn't feel like an event film. Like that's what they've been doing for the last 15 years, make event films. So now if they didn't put anything less, you feel less impacted. But then this is a more important story than any of those event films are. And that's the troubling thing about the way the film industry is becoming.
Huh.
And so like that's why I'm like, I have those qualms, but like almost they don't matter because
it's not really this film specifically. It's a broader
yeah,
thing.
and it's not the fault of the creators of the film. And that's what hurts me the most.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Cool.
Wow.
Nice.
So rating.
Is that all of them?
Yeah.
That's all of them.
All right. So I'm first.
You are first.
For me, this is a 4.1.
4.1.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this film. It had a lot of things I needed in it. Hit a lot of marks for me. The pacing at the end did take me out of a little bit of the emotional state of it. Unfortunately, I think it would have been like a 4.5-ish, 4.6 if that little change. And it's a lot. It's a lot of points to take off, but
Makes a big difference. It's the
the
it's
whole
the moment
ending,
of
the
the whole movie.
climax, including the dragon fight, was over too quickly. Where have I heard that before?
With me.
So, yeah, but I again, I enjoyed it. It was a lot of emotional moments in this that hit me really hard. And so, yeah.
Did you cry?
4.1. Nope.
Oh,
I have trouble crying in movies.
because the plastic eyes.
I don't know. Yeah, it's the plastic eyes. Actually, Homeward Bound fucked me up recently.
Oh,
that
yeah,
was
you're
it.
Right. You're right.
Oh, an orange cat?
No,
No,
it's not
it's
an orange cat.
animals
It's
trying
a
to find their
golden
way home.
retriever. And,
Oh, I'm thinking of what is
Milo and Otis?
it? Milo and Otis.
That fucks me up.
yeah.
I
There we
love
go.
Milo
But
and Otis.
no, so but yeah, I have 4.1.
Okay.
All right, duke it out.
4.7.
Wow,
Wow.
easy. Done.
All right.
All right, next.
4.7.
Ali?
4.6.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I fucked up. Let's go. Okay, let's do 4.8. Let's go.
4.6.
Oh, 4.6.
I will say, I feel like if I watch it a couple more times, my score would be higher.
Okay.
Because I want to watch it more times. I just have some weird feels about it that I haven't fully processed yet. And I feel like if I watched it a couple more times, I would enjoy it more.
I will be buying this movie.
Yeah.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
All right, Tom.
So will I. And that puts it in a 4.
4. Oh,
Yeah.
So I
I'm the grump!
by 0.1, yeah. So you, me, and the Nerd On Nation
You're not nation.
got it completely
Killed
right.
it.
So let me shout out all 6 votes here. So we have Dana P, Andy N, Jackie, Brock P, Justin, and Nikhil. Thank you all for voting for Tom.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That sounds about right.
yeah.
How does it feel to be the grump?
I think
Out of 4, that's a
Out
pretty
of 4, how does it
high
feel to be a
grump.
grump
Thank
at a
you,
4?
everyone, that I had to step over.
I would like to thank everybody
And
for getting to this moment.
It was kind of like people were standing in a pool, and I just kicked them down like bobs of apples and all that stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you're
yeah.
currently now
Wow.
underneath all the weight of my glory.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
It feels great.
Cool.
It was wonderful.
You're a
Jo-
warrior.
Josh?
Wow. The image of that was just like, wow, there's so much pain. Everybody at home, thank you so much for listening. Let us know what you thought of Onward. Let us know who you thought would be the grump. And stop by wherever you listen. Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, we're everywhere. Please stop by. Give us a rate, a review, all that good stuff.
And slip and slide into those DMs. Pain brought to you by Tom.
It can confirm.
Oh, wow.
If you're new to Nerd On, do check out our website, nerdon.tv. But yes, that is it. You know the drill. As always, Nerd Onward!
Ending broadcast.